bank's issue, up to August, we could not have the work plans approved. A lot from it because this following this year, it was approved in the first 2-3 weeks of February. Delay in the MOU signing and IPs with IPs because once the work plan is delayed, you cannot sign the MOUs with IPs. Infrastructure, a commercial investor who is almost at critical stage of crop production, and the farmers will ask for their lands back. So these are issues that we are confronted with as a project. We, at some time, 2020 dry, 2021 issue, wherein the cattle owners will go to the same perimeters and then their animals will invade the rice that is being produced. And then also, the Orelok 6 is very much, the smell is nice. When you are normally scares them off. And then hippos, we know, little sound, they don't come near. So they were unable, fields are not invaded. We don't receive a major. The major lessons learned is that we as projects to still the need for a complete package for intervention for the entire rice value chain, from input, seed and fertilizer, land preparation, harvesting, and post-harvest operations. The need for proper sequencing of complementary intervention to ensure optimal output needs to be adequately planned, rice varieties. And the other thing that we have to be make known here is that we have initiated the second phase of the project, looking at the performance and the amount of disbursement and the expenditure. The second phase is being initiated, and then rehabilitation, it will look at rehabilitation of irrigation infrastructure, that is fixing of gate, desilting and improvement of water conveyance system, provision of storage warehouses and drying floors, capacity strengthening of youth service.
With all of them, World Bank, IFAD, Islamic Development Bank, African Development Bank, and
because they said I should talk.
The Silver and Badia. Okay. So
I am
this is the response
3 years old.
The development bank, they are coming in.
I cannot summarize. Sorry for the time, but it's worth it, I think.
1,000 tons of fertilizer. Because we said our ground seed is become the viability is become the cost. So we said let's also include breeder seeds ground and farmers out of that fund. ISDB said they have ongoing projects. This one is one of them. You have the Islamic, the Clean Resilience, the small village, but this is about fertilizer. Let's look within the existing projects that we are funding, and we have hope that one of the projects we just had a meeting backwards with the tax manager, and we said let's do within one of the projects and do something just to assign our community. So hopefully we might get something from there just to tackle this fertilizer. So that's the project is.
Yes, is it going to serve as a supplementary?
Yes. Yeah. No. This is going to the project beneficiaries under the project, managed by the project. Addition to the
additional finance.
Additional finance.
Yes. In other words, this the fertilizer that this project will provide is going to be free for farmers, to all the beneficiaries, what they will purchase it.
So it is going to be a subsidized fertilizer. We're going to subsidize it, not free as it is. We're going to subsidize it, and then we digitalize the distribution of those fertilizers, so that the beneficiary, the intended beneficiary, get it, but in a subsidized cost.
How much do you have in your mind?
No, we are not, because it's not yet procured. We can't determine the price now because, as we know, the rice, the fertilizer price has gone up because of the Ukraine war. So that's why the emergency fund has been requested by the government.
Yes, honorable members and the team from the Ministry of Agriculture, I think we have to allow Mr. Sanyan
Yes.
to conclude.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can see that something is being put somehow a hot cake. Members are really agile.
Yeah, I just want to propose.
Yes.
After Mr. Sargent's presentation, if we can draw the code there to enable us have ample time to draw questions to the presenters.
So you want to suspend the presentation, then we allow members to ask questions.
Ask questions, maybe we call upon them next time for the restful.
No, but you have all been talking about plots throughout the month.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I know. Certainly, this is in fact what I understand. All projects present here are very important. And looking at the presentations made, I think it is also important for you to have ample time to ask questions. Or otherwise, I would start asking questions, you will start telling me time. And I don't think it's equally fair on our side.
Let's have one project on livestock. At least we have the mix.
Honorable Jame,
Yes.
I want to counter your proposal. That is, we allow them to do all of their presentation. If we will not have time, we take note of our question, and then our next interaction, we ask them.
There was something was being documented.
Exactly.
Where we will give you time also.
Exactly.
You know, my people in Barigu are very hungry, and they are all talking about rice. You see no rice in our store.
In fact, sorry, that is a second good person. Yes. Because I'm
Okay, let me just say this. The African Emergency Food Production Facility is the bank's, that's the African Development Bank newly approved rapid response framework to address the food crisis and destruction of the supply of critical input for food production arising from the Russia war in Ukraine. So the government of the Gambia, through the ministry, requested for additional financing under the African Emergency Food Production Facility to mitigate the effect of the Russia war crisis. And then this one is looking at 2022 and 2023 cropping cycle. That is the facility I want to tell you about. And then I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me close this discussion. I think how do I call it? The projects we think and we hope that it is in a better footing when it comes in terms of its implementations. So we don't have to preempt anything absolutely. These are things which we need to find out and see for ourselves and see how far I go. Yes, the other one on the line.
Honorable Chair, we will also like to hear from the animal husbandry area, please. Yeah.
Honorable Chair, 2 seconds. I want to appeal to honorable members. Let us give this session for them to do all of their presentation. That's number one. Number two, to submit all of their presentation. Then number three, when we go to the field, understand, we're going to have a lot of issues. So we call them again here to have our questions, please.
Yeah. That's a question. If honorable members agree with that, then second.
Yeah. So when we go to the field, we have a lot of things to raise.
I believe when going to the field, there must be some officials who will be on the ground.
Of course, will be.
Even have time to go.
Is they notified that we are going Monday?
Of course, they will be notified.
This Monday coming.
Okay, good. Because we don't want to give you short notice.
Yeah.
This is the most powerful decision. If you don't agree, we are going to
Where? Who?
Give the mic.
No, it's here.
Yes, Honorable Chair, the honorable members of the Select Committee, the CPCU coordinator, and my colleagues. Good afternoon. I am Mahmoud Njai. I'm the project director for the Small Ruminant Production Enhancement Project. You know, as it was highlighted at the beginning, all the projects that have been coming into agriculture, more than 95% have always been crops. And livestock plays a very important role because it's providing 8% of the national GDP and 30% of the agricultural GDP. This is the first project purely on livestock. All the other projects have been a small component or a component of livestock within those ones. And that is why we in this in the livestock sector want to prove with this small ruminant project that livestock is important, and then so that whenever another project comes for approval on livestock, you will quickly approve it. Now, the Small Ruminant Production Enhancement Project is being executed by the Ministry of Agriculture, and it is funded by the Gambia government and the Islamic Development Bank. The project portfolio is $26.81 million. The IDB is providing, the government of the Gambia is providing $1.6 million, and the IDB is providing $25.17 million. The project was approved in 2017, November 2017. The financial agreement was signed on April 2018, and the date of the loan effectiveness was in July 2019. The actual first disbursement was in September 2019, and the planned activity started then in September 2019, and the project is expected to be completed in December 2023. Now, this project aims to contribute to the improvement of the livelihood of pastoral communities in the Gambia by strengthening their productivity and resilience, and stimulate entrepreneurship in the livestock sector. In other words, to attract the interest of people into livestock. And the interventions are in the communities, in diverse communities, and the special need to stimulate growth in the livestock sector. And to achieve this, through increased productivity, product value addition, improved marketing infrastructures, information systems, enhanced producers' knowledge and abilities, better management of environmental resources, and the availability of production input with increased access to finance. Now, specifically, the project is focusing on enhancing small ruminant development through herd health mechanism. That is to improve the health aspect of the herd, of the small ruminants, increase their productivity through genetic improvement, because you need to improve them genetically. We have our animals, but within the breeds, there are better breeds. So genetic improvement is important, and this is what the West African Livestock Innovation Center at Keneba has been doing since 1994. And then improve the food systems.
You mean that's ITC?
ITC, the former ITC. We need to, yes, the food system need to be improved, because we all know during the dry season, all the grass is burnt, and that there is nothing left for the animals. And that is why the animals are hardly productive during the dry season. And when you do all those things, then you have to provide marketing facilities. And you have to do market management, innovations of product processing techniques. And during the formulation of the project, one of the things that the farmers complained of was access to finance. That is, yes, microfinance institutions and banks are providing finance, but the interest rate is very high, and also collateral has been an issue. And that is why within this project, $3 million was set aside for farmers to access, to have access to finance to improve or invest more in their livestock. Now, the project is a value chain project. That is, it is looking from production to the table. It is a 4-year project, and okay, it's the only livestock project in the Gambia, but also we are the guinea pigs for the IDB, because this is the first time they are testing a two-stage approach of funding. The project is being funded on a two-stage basis. One stage, the first stage was the setting up of the project, that is phase 1. And the second stage is the implementation phase. And that is why many of you would have been hearing about the small ruminant for quite a time, but still many wondered what the small ruminant was doing. Because in phase 1 was establishing the team for the project, and then we had to recruit many consultants. In this approach, you are to do all what is required before the actual implementation. The phase 1 had only a little money, $2 million, but the main money is in the implementation phase. So in phase 1, we recruited, because there were to be lot of infrastructure development that is going to be done by the project. So we had to recruit a design and supervision consultant who would do the designs, the specifications, the drawings, and also map out all the activities of the project. So that when the project starts and all these infrastructures is made, in the software, you can look at all the activities of the project within. And they are the ones also who will supervise the civil works of this project. The project had an Islamic microfinance window, that is this $3 million, which is being given, was being earmarked for access to finance. Now, when we say Islamic finance, it doesn't mean really that it's only for Muslims. Islamic financing is a way of financing. It's not just a Muslim that a Muslim is to use it. That has to be clear. Everybody have access to this credit facility of this project. Islamic financing has sub-products, and it is those products that you use, not the religion. So all these stages, these two phases, each stage required a legal opinion. So it's like you have two projects in one. Now, in the first phase, we have completed all that. We've recruited the design and the supervision consultant.
Yeah, what I want to know is this $3 million that you're talking about, is it a revolving?
Yes, I will come to that. Yes, I will come to that. So in the phase 1, we have done all what has been required, because the project consists of 4 components. You have the small ruminant production, processing, and marketing, which includes controlling disease, feed, and production and processing and marketing facilities, access to finance and capacity building, that's component B, the master plan development. The reason for this was when the project was being formulated, there were others who said we should add other projects, so as we should intervene in milk, meat, and poultry. But then there was not enough data to create such projects. So in this project, a certain amount of money was earmarked to do a Gambia livestock master plan that would inform the country, the livestock sector, if we want to improve the livestock system in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years. And within that master plan, they will develop 3 projects, costed projects, one on meat, one on milk, one on poultry, and they will also, looking at the possibility of setting up an Al-Halal abattoir in the Gambia, both for domestic and export. So this study is in component C, which is the master plan development, and component D is the management and coordination. Now, component 1, which is the production and the marketing facilities. We know the key constraints for animal productions are disease, feed, water, and to add it more access to finance. Now, the project, the specific aims of the project is 1, to reach 30,000 households, small ruminant households, successful in modernizing their operations through access to finance and technology, that is training and access to finance. The project wants to increase the sheep and goat production and productivity by reducing mortality, that is controlling disease, and also improve the genetic material by supporting Wali, who are producing improved breeds, males, that will go to these communities to put in their flocks to change the genetic makeup of what they have. Now, the other is to provide greater access to veterinary services, better feeding strategies by establishing community pastures, both for communities and individuals, establish breeding and fattening schemes to boost the production in the country, improve access to water for better management, and then increase the capacity of producer organizations, both for production, processing, and marketing. Now, what has the project achieved from 2019 to date? When it comes to small ruminant production, in disease control, the project has aims to reduce the 2 killer diseases of small ruminants. That is one, PPR, which causes diarrhea, and pasteurolosis. The project aims to reduce it by 10%. Now, the way we are going on it is, one, we are supporting the Department of Livestock Services, which are one of our key implementing partners, to enhance their capacity to be able to control these diseases. The project has procured 3 Toyota pickups, hybrid for them. We have bought 15 laptops, 6 desktop computers, 30 motorcycles, and 100 tablets, which we have handed over recently. The project is also the Department of Livestock Services with livestock marketing agencies for the management information system. Now, the other thing that the project is doing is to control PPR. The projects need to make 6 monthly vaccinations. Now it coincided that ECOWAS is organizing a regional vaccination activity this year, which will include Senegal, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, and Guinea-Conakry. This has advantage because if these countries are all vaccinating together, it will reduce the transmission of disease. But if Gambia vaccinates and Senegal does not, you can always, through these weekly markets and others, it will improve. And that is why the project decided to suspend, not for DLS to do it alone, but we supported them. And what we did was, for the government to participate in that activity, they were to provide $100,000 as their contribution. The project has provided $60,000. The government provided 40, and then that is what that enables the government and the country to be part of that vaccination. Now, aside that, the project is to rehabilitate the Central Veterinary Laboratory at Abuko, equip it to modern standards and buy reagents and other things. And also, the project is to establish 15 veterinary outlets throughout the country. These have been identified through the guidance of the Department of Livestock Services. And then the project is also to build a model training center for livestock, because in this country, livestock has no training center. So we are building one at YBK. When you come to genetic improvement, we are supporting Wallet to improve their production facilities. We've already purchased 400 animals because the breeding model that they're using needs an optimal level of 200 goats, female goats at breeding level, and 200 female sheep at breeding level. That is what you collect data from to be able to use the model to determine, to run the breeding values to produce animals that will be tolerant in diseases, rapid weight gain, and high milk yield. Now, we will also improve their infrastructure, and in that process, we are also building a similar structure at YBK with 200 goats and 200 sheep, so that they will be multiplying whatever is coming from Walik to the farmers to get it quickly. That is what we have done in the production. Now, for the infrastructure, we knew water had been a constraint. 20 boreholes have been identified throughout the country. They have already been drilled, and these are boreholes across all regions, drinking points. And the criteria had been areas where there are a lot of small ruminants and they don't have access to water, or access to water is limited. So these 20 boreholes have been drilled, and what is left now is the supporting facilities, the solar, the tanks, and the troughs. And the project has identified, because the other aim of the project is to make small ruminants available at all.
You have to provide us with the location of all this.
Yes, I will. When it comes to the boreholes, you have 4 in Basse. You have Sare Bohum, you have Sare Njobo, you have Sare Sile, and you have Sare Fodige. In CRR South, you have Sare Fali, Sare Yuto, and Soukunda. If you come to CRR North, you have Raneru, you have Ndawen, you have Njalal Samba, you have Jimbala Kirchin.
These are, sorry, these are type of drinking points?
Small ruminant drinking.
I'm glad you did mention Raneru.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
No, serious.
Yes. And when you go to North Bank, you have Bambali, you have Palen Wolof, you have Dibakunda, you have Balingo. Now, when you come to LRR, you have Buibasano. You have Buibasano, you have Sare Sajo, and you have Madina Sanja. When you come to West Coast, you have Chili, and you have Sinta. Yes, because here, what we were looking at, one of the things that this project is being asked is not to intervene where other projects have intervened. That is one. 2, to look at areas where there are animals and access to water is difficult. So that is how this selection came about. And for 2 years, we had been going around, picking and dropping and picking and dropping until we got this one. But presently, all these ones are drilled. Now, the project is to identify 30 breeding schemes, 30 fattening schemes across the country. We have identified all that, individuals and few couples. Now, in these breeding schemes, the project will construct a model house, like the model breeding scheme, like the one in Keneba, where you will have compartments for the different kinds of animals, the males, the empty, the pregnant, the sick, and all those things. And then when it is made, when it is built, the farmer would be given minimum 50 animals. But the criteria is a farmer who has never been supported by any project, and a farmer who had at least 15 breeding females in his or her flock. Because if you have 15 breeding females in your flock, the total flock should be around 25 to 30, because the young ones are excluded, the males and the others. Now, you have to be a farmer whom, within the village, you are recognized that you are really interested in small ruminant. You have been doing it for years. Nobody has ever supported you, and you continue to do it, because that is one way for sustainability. Secondly, you will be guaranteed by the alcalo and by the chief. Now, the next condition is, once you are selected and we are going to construct the facility, within 5 years, if the scheme has a problem, you will pay for all the investment. But if you succeed and it is working, it's all for you. So you will need a guarantor. You will need a guarantor who will guarantee you. The reason is because we don't want business as usual. Projects have supported many people, but after some time, at the end of the project, after a year or 2, you go back there is nothing. Yes. So here we want the farmers to really know that this is an investment, because the whole project is a loan. And this money has to be utilized for the interest of...
Just a quick intervention there. You just remind me, 2015, if I hired me as a consultant, I went around this sheep fattening project you are mentioning. I visited almost all of them. Because I think that year I visited over 63 agricultural districts in this country. Now, you mentioned it now. I don't know what is going to be different. What mechanism you guys are going to put into action? Because all the ones I visited, not a single sheep was found in those houses. In fact, some lady they told those houses to disconnect. And you are saying this is like it's a duplication of the same project. And this government is coming and doing the same project again when this other one.
No, that is why the conditions I'm telling you are different. Because for us, you have to be a farmer who has for years been involved in small ruminant production. You have never been supported by anybody. So that means, yes, that means you are somebody who is really on your own. It's just like you have your farm and you are farming groundnuts without any support. You are buying your fertilizer, you are buying drugs, you are buying anything, everything. So if I come and say, okay, add this, we believe that should really work. And that is why also the condition is, when you meet all these criteria, you still need somebody to guarantee you that if the investment fails, money will be returned.
Okay, I think that is it.
Yes.
That's a good
And that guarantee has to be made before the structure starts. And the alcalo and the chief, because those forms, even for you to be taken, has to be attested to, has to be signed by the chief and attested and stamped by the alcalo, so that if anything happens, we have somebody to be held responsible.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if somebody happens to register his business and the business is going fine, why did that person need the alcalo and the chief attestation?
No, it's a guarantee to get to that stage, because we want you to get to that stage. Because if you know this investment, if it fails, I'm going to pay it. But if it succeeds, it's mine.
But what about if you are not in a good relationship with your chief or alcalde and you have to be a very perfect
and that is why
due to political reasons or other reasons.
And that is why yes, and that is why for 2 years we have been rigorously selecting and reselecting these people. We have visited them on several times, unannounced. Many, we had a huge number, and a lot have been dropped, just to make sure that we get the right people. And it's not based on politics. Yes, it's not based on politics. It's based on
no, I know it's not based on politics.
On what you are doing.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
I think the point is very sensitive.
Yes.
Because what I want to say here is, for me, I don't seem to be still convinced with the approach, because personally I'm a native of Jajamure. I have been going out there at YDK to get those forms for couples or groups. But also considering sometimes at community level, our relationships with this community or district authorities, you will come to agree with me that you will still find some challenges as an individual farmer who is in fact a very successful farmer to have access to some of these things. So I think there should be a better collateral with my suggestion that would enable farmers to have access to these loans and also continue to venture into.
No, this is not a loan.
Okay, it's not a loan.
No, this is a direct support. And the alcalo is not attesting as to whether you should have it or not. He is just attesting that you are a farmer who has never been supported and you are involved in small ruminant.
Let me answer. Maybe you're not privy to this type of information. I am telling you a candid things that actually happen in the region. Because, like, for example, if I don't share the same political ambition with you, if I need certain things from you, like even the chief stamp, it becomes a very, very, very big problem.
I've experienced that.
I'm speaking from experience.
That's why I was telling you, if a farmer, a progressive farmer, who has registered his business and is doing well,
this is where, in fact, I want to learn honorables. Because look at it.
Honorable,
I think the
Honorable,
experience that the agricultural
Honorable,
people are having,
I think you are
and the
missing
blame coming
something.
back.
You are missing something. You know, here, the project has direct support, the project has indirect support. This direct support is to boost few individuals who are really involved in small ruminant production to enhance their capacity so that within that area, because we want now access to small ruminant, so that in every part of the Gambia, you will have small centers where people are really producing small ruminants. So that during Tobaski, you will not even need to travel far to get something. 30 wool for breeding, 30 wool for fattening. But it is not the alcalo alone that is involved. It is not the chief alone that is involved. The livestock, the director of livestock services, the regional director has to attest to it. The livestock assistant, who is now the extension worker, having contact, they are the ones who are looking at this thing. What you have said, I experienced it. I was a regional director. And sometime during an assessment of first day forms, the governor asked, is he with us? And when somebody said no, he just drew the red pen. So yes, no. I know. I have experience.
No, but I think we have to.
I think, Mom, let's note it. It's a lesson learned.
Yes.
Since I think one also will go for the midterm. These are something that we can really see how this will be designed. What they are saying is relevant.
No, I agree. It's relevant, and we have come.
Yes, sorry, Director. I think I just wanted to say what the CPC director just said. You need review of this policy. You're looking at the credit worthiness of an individual. Now, for instance, if the individual failed to pay, how will Alcalo pay? I think it's better you go for the collateral. The person provide a collateral. If the chief and the Alcalo...
I am not saying the Alcalo is the collateral. Okay. I am saying the Alcalo will attest that you are a multiplier, that you have animals and you have never been supported. But you as the individual who is going to be supported, you are the one who is going to look for collateral. That is what I said. I think it's misunderstood. Yes. 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 So we have identified all these ones. Now, since feed is a problem, we have 20 community pastures of 1 hectare each. And these have been identified across the country. And these will be fenced properly, basic concrete, iron poles, specified binding fencing material that you will need to import, not these local wires. And this will be fenced. Seeds will be given, and then the community will establish a 1 hectare pasture that their animals will feed on throughout the period. 20 have been identified. Now, in this package also, 600 individuals can apply for individual support. That is, if you have a quarter of a hectare of land and you can prove by documentation that that is your land, just an area control association or your compound to show that at least this belongs to you, then that can be fenced and you can have also the same, provided you have 15 animals and more. So when it comes, that is one aspect of it. Now, when you come to processing, because if we improve production,
Since they're going for a review maybe in the future before we have a meeting again, I just have a suggestion, sir, because I have you saying that the project is not really supporting those that were supported by other projects before. And we all know the history, like the existence of FAST, the existence of NEMA. They were supporting small-scale enterprises. But then, if you look at those components that were supported, you will kind of sympathize them because the supports were very limited. And I want to suggest, if this new project or if your project can actually look at empowering or giving those projects extra support to enhance them to stand at a better position to actually continue their adventures into agriculture than actually exempting them?
No, thank you very much. We have not exempted them. Those ones, that is why we have the credit facility. For anybody who is not fortunate to be part of the direct support, you have the Islamic credit facility. And I'm going to talk about that later.
Honorable Chair, to add on to what Honorable Member said, in fact, those seed farming projects I supervised, none of them was given to individuals, it was given to communities. So this one you talk about individuals. For that project, I didn't come across any individual who beneficiaries, collective the beneficiary, not individual after.
Yes, because we learned the lesson from the CAFOs. We have seen that anything that you give to a community or the CAFOs, there is a problem. Because the main reason is, in the Gambia, we are just, all villages have been set up by one group, by a family. Now, in that village, any person who is in a position and he misuses anything, there is nobody who will hold you to account because you are either an uncle, a father, or anything. And we learn the experience. When you go to the village, privately, they will tell you the problems in the village. But if you call them and gather them, there is nobody who will tell you. And you will not be the policeman of that village. And that is why most of the time, CAFOs are not working. So that is why this time we've gone for individuals who have not been supported, and people attest that they are really interested in what they are doing. So we believe if we support them, it will continue. They will grow rather than fall back. Now, if we solve all these problems, there should be a lot of animals. We need to have a place to sell them. So 10 small ruminant markets are being established. Countrywide. We need to have somewhere to slaughter them. 10 slaughterhouses have been identified. We need to have somewhere to sell them. 10 modern meat stalls have been identified. We will have refrigeration and everything so that meat can always be available. Now, we will also establish 2 mini dairies and 3 milk collection centers. Now, all these things I'm telling you, we have done the bidding process, we have done the evaluation, the reports have been approved, draft contracts have been sent, half of the draft contracts have even been approved. So it's like the training center at YBK, the support, the reconstruction of the pen at Walik, the lab for Abuko, solar tanks, solar panels, tanks for the 20 watering facilities. We are going to establish 15 veterinary facilities, 15 veterinary pharmacies, 10 meat stalls, 10 slaughterhouses, 10 livestock markets, 20 pasture communities. All these contracts will be signed before the 15th of August. In fact, some of them will be signed by the end of this month. The construction will take 12 months. It should be constructed and handed over. All these things will be done within this period. Yes. Now, the next component, that is what we have for production. The next component is finance. We had $3 million as an Islamic microfinance loan.
Director, you were talking about processing and the aspects of the
processing. Yes, the processing facilities are the 2 mini dairies, which will be constructed, one in Basset and one in YBK, one in Farafenni, and they will have their milk collection centers. And then the other marketing facilities are the 10 small ruminant markets, the 10 slaughterhouses, and the 10 modern meat stalls.
Yes, thank you very much. I have a small concern. Yes, when giving support to the farmers, you need to look into the security, protection of the fund, and whatsoever. But sometimes these things, they make it difficult for our farmers to get access to the funds. So sometimes it's very difficult for them to have access to it. So I don't know, because the funds are here for them. So if you make it difficult for them to access it, so the essence or the purpose will be defeated. So what can you do, or what do you have at least to put that into consideration? Because it's here for them.
Yes.
If you make it difficult, they won't get it, and the phone will be there. So what are you going to do with it?
Yes, that is the next component I'm coming, which is component V. This is access to finance and capacity building. Now, the access for finance is $3 million. It's being set for 3 years that the farmers can access in a revolving fund. You can take, you pay, you take, you pay. Now, this fund is being disbursed in through Islamic financing. But when we say Islamic financing, it doesn't mean that non-Muslims will not be part of it. It's just a mode of financing. It's a way of dispersing money. Islam does not want interest. What Islam has is markup. So when we say Islamic financing also, it doesn't mean that you will be given $10 and you pay $10. No. There is something you add to it. Yes, there is something you add to it. No, because there are different products.
And what do you call that, sir?
We call that in Islam it is called markup. Markup.
Or profit.
No, I am coming. It's not money for money. It's not money for money. Now, for this $3 million, it's going to be given through an Islamic way of financing, and the product that is being used is murabaha. Murabaha means sales. Like, I buy this animal at 1,000 and I say, okay, now I'm going to sell it to you at 1,100.
Director, I think it's high time when we are designing our projects, we remove all of these Islamic procedures and
No, sorry, it's financed by Islamic Bank. It's financed by Islamic Bank. So, Islamic Bank. So Islamic Development Bank. So you have to
this
go
is
with
finance because and one key difference of this financing.
They say order.
Keep quiet.
I think we have a component. We're all going to be talking at the same time. Yes. Please continue the presentation.
Now, yes, okay, in Islamic. Okay, let me just summarize. Now, this $3 million is being disbursed. 63 million has already been disbursed to livestock, small ruminant value chain farmers. And that is why, if you are watchful, you would realize that this Tobaski, a lot of Gambians were selling rams. They all got this money from the microfinance. Yes, and the markup is $12. That is for 1 year. If you take it for 1 month, it's $1. If you take it for 6 months, it's $6. That is how Islam. And Islam does not also give you money. Islam gives you the product. Islam does not believe in giving money. If you say you want rams, you have to identify where the rams are, and the rams are being bought, and then you sign the contract, it becomes yours. Now, the two institutions that have been selected are the Gambia Teachers Union and the Supersonics. Because at the time, when we were selecting for this microfinance through the Islamic bank procurement procedures, two things were key. One, a microfinance that has an MIS window, and two, a microfinance that has an Islamic window. At the time, they were the only two, and that is why they have been contracted. Now, we have disbursed so far $1.2 million, and presently, we are working on the other tranche, and this will continue until the end of the project. Now, for capacity building, we have signed MOUs with Department of Livestock Services, Gambia Livestock Marketing Agency, and the Department of Community Development. And they are the ones who are doing this capacity building. And all this, in this project, all the recruitments have been done through Islamic bank procedures. So now, to summarize, component C, because when the project was being developed, there were other projects that were required: meat, milk, and poultry. Now, in the project document, the International Livestock Research Institute was recruited, a single source, to do this because they have a very vast experience and they are the ones who have started it. In fact, presently, the World Bank have even started using the livestock master plan. Any country who wants something related to livestock, your funding is easier if you have the master plan, because it gives the costed projects of all what you need. And so far, in this contract with ILRI, which was delayed by the COVID, they have done the initial assessment report. We have received that. They have done the livestock sector analysis, which identifies all what is necessary on livestock. And now, in next month, they will now submit the livestock sector strategy that will give the Gambia the strategy for livestock development for the 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years. And in August, they will submit the roadmap. And this will give us now the pattern of the Gambia livestock sector and costed projects on meat, milk, and poultry. And also, they will inform us the possibility if the Gambia can have an Al-Halal abattoir, because these are areas that the Islamic Bank is still interested in funding. So, to summarize, our challenges are this 1.64 million by the government is both cash and kind. In this project, even treks to project sites is from the GLF. Salaries and even the fuel is being shared. The IDB money is going mainly directly to the beneficiaries, to infrastructures and all what is necessary. So it's a big strain, and the subvention we have is not what we would need, because minimum for government to meet the requirement, they should give us 1.7 million every month if they are really to meet their requirements. But we all know, with all the challenges and other things, we know this is not possible. So that is one of our challenges. 2, the project covers 39 districts in the Gambia, and we have only 3 vehicles. We have 1 saloon and 2 pickups. So we have a challenge of vehicles, especially all these structures, 750 structures within the country. If you want to monitor them, you need more mobility. That is one area. And the other challenge we have is we have realized that in the access to finance, these microfinance facilities, women have not featured much, because collateral has become their issue, and the ministry with the CPCU, we are looking very seriously how to get this, because the contract we signed with the microfinance is we are going to give them $3 million in balances, and at the end of the contract they are going to give $3 million in whole. It's not going to be in any installment. So that's the contract we have signed with them. So it goes back to the central bank and to IDB.
Not IDB.
What? No, that's how it is written. Yeah, that is what is in the project document. I know it's an issue, and wherever you say people talked about, even for us implementing the project and the ministry, things that cannot be, because it's already our loan. But that is how it is written, and then these are issues we will sort out. You have different stages.
They have different products.
Yes, because you have installment sales, you have the solidarity fund, and you have IDB loan 1, IDB loan 2 in all these monies. So even within those loans, like all the structures, when they are ready, it's like that's why you have the installment sales, because they now sell it to you. You see, so it's a bit complex, but we think that should be resolved. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, just a request from you to cement what the honorable member for Janjambure said. Now, I'm sure you have already started disbursing this money to individual beneficiaries, right?
No, it's the microfinance that is disbursing.
Yeah.
People apply for it. Anybody who wants. It's open. Yeah. It's not. We are not.
You talk about the Alcalo to witness and
no, that's a different. That's a different.
That's the request I want to make. That you make some commitment to that. I'm sure some commitments we have made with regards to that.
Asking whether that one is started already. The other one have started already.
The individuals have.
People must have already benefited from it.
No, they have not.
They have not.
No, people are just being identified based on a set criteria.
Those you have the record of those identified.
Yes.
Now, thank you very much. And this committee is going to roll out.
Yes.
we want to request from your office to give us the name of those identified, so that we are going to make sure we're going to speak to some of them. Because we don't want it to be seen that those only citizens with the government who receive this fund, or probably the president is giving them before. We want to speak to few of them, whether it's going to be balanced. The APRC is good, the UDP is good. We want to make sure that everything is good. Why I say this? Yes. Why I say this? I'm still on my why I say this? I'm sitting from
Honorable.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, I think it will be premature for us to be speculating.
Correct.
As honorable members, our assumptions will be based on facts.
Yes.
Not assumptions.
And I'm coming to the facts.
Yes, no. Please allow me to come. Please. You said it here that let's allow them to do their presentation. And we go to the field. When you come back, we call them back and engage them.
And I want to go to the field with a walking tour.
No.
This one I'm requesting.
There's no also. No.
This one I'm requesting. You don't understand me. Honorable Chair, you don't understand me. You don't understand. Yes.
Hello.
You don't understand.
Honorable, let me make one point clear.
I just said, yes. Exactly. If you have these names, then we are going to this village and we're going to speak for them. You understand? Like when there are some people came and some others were marginalized. So you don't avoid that. If you have this name, you can talk for them.
Yes, what I want to add to that is, all this, the list I'm going to give you, is not permanent and it's not fixed that they have been. They are only identified. We just identify them. And some of them, we are still going over them. So it's not a set list, because what we want to do is we want to make sure we get the right people. So and that is why all along, there are some, even if you ask them, have you been identified? They will tell you no, because we have not confirmed. We have not confirmed. I will give you the
list. Yes. For this first rollout, you can have your list, but later, when you are done with your list,
you will have it.
Then you can have the list. But for this trip now, probably you said you are not done with your list. But when you are done with our next rollout,
we will give you all the lists. So,
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want the honorable member to know that this.
We don't go back to that. Yes. Because I asked him.
Yes. So now, finally, the two-step approach is a learning process. The bank is learning. We have also learned. We have the one thing that we are all coming to realize is now you can see all our structures will be built within one time, and all the designs were made at a good time. Now all these things I'm telling you, within 12 months you will have everything and it will be ready. That is one advantage.
We hope so.
Yes, we hope so. But then the procurement procedures were something that we are not taking into account.
Yes, I think the project is almost in its third year.
Yeah.
So we are left with 1 year or so, 2 years to go. So we need to see what this.
No, it's already completed. We are almost completed because we are almost completed. The microfinance is rolled, which is component CB. The livestock master plan is being completed by September, which is component C. Now the infrastructure is what we are now rolling out. So next year by this time, we would have completed the entire project. So by December 23, we wouldn't have much to do. So that is the process of this two-stage issue.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. With optimism that we hope that this thing are not within the lifespan of the project.
Sure.
Because we have this experience of project being incompleted. First step is there and later and other things, a lot of things happen. And we don't want to happen to this project. Please.
Chair,
Yes.
Can we have their submission next Friday? Because Monday we are going.
Yes. And we want the submission of all these documents latest Friday before we call out all this. I think some have been first submitted.
Okay.
Yes. Soft copy, hard copy. Yes, any other presenter? Yes.
Mr. Davo, time.
When that's that. This year. First step phase 2. That's no, it's not first step phase 2. No.
It is not fast step phase 2. And that for the records. This is not fast step phase 2. Please.
I agree with you.
Okay. No, it's a project. This is a new project. Oh, it's on.
No, let's allow him.
Bring this thing. If it is 10, if that project is 10, that means I have to carry that thing along. Yes, I'm not going to do
But
that.
don't worry, it's the whole ministry and the whole the country has not one problem.
Okay, good afternoon. Still good morning. Okay. This is the Gambia Agriculture and Food Security Project. Why they say fast step phase 2 is because this is global agriculture funded project, as fast step was funded by the same donors. The project was signed in December 2021, and the first disbursement came last month on the 3rd of June. Basically, December 2021, it was signed, and the first disbursement, there was a big delay between the signature and the first disbursement. First disbursement came March. June, on the 3rd of June. Yes, the overall objective is to increase nutritional security, for as well as household income for rural poor farmers through the homegrown school feeding program, which is very central as far as this project is concerned. And you may ask, how do we want to? First is to restructure the food demand side, which is the school feeding program, to feed with or to merge with the supply side. Because if we're talking about school feeding, homegrown school feeding program, we are discouraging importing rice and whatever and sending it to our schools. We want to ensure that what the children are eating in school is coming from the farmers. It becomes a double win. You improve income for the farmer, and you get at least reliable and fresh food for the children in the school. Basically, that is the core idea of this project. And in that case, we are targeting 20,000 households.
What is total funding?
It's 16 million from the government.
16 million.
Yes, actually it's 18.1 million, but 16 million is the donor fund.
Just give us the total.
18.1. Yes.
It's 5 years.
Yes. It is ending April 2027. Our major outputs will be increased food and nutritional security, increased household income, and strengthening of the sustainable homegrown school feeding program. And in that case, of course, we are targeting 20,000 households, out of which equivalent to 160,000 beneficiaries, out of which is 131,000 school-going children, providing nutritious meal for 131,000 school-going children, reaching 10,000 farmers, and 20,000 other value chain actors. The institutional framework, the project is being implemented by the ministry with the CPCU together with WFP. Almost 45% of the funds are going to be implemented by WFP. 45.
So maybe you'll be implementing the 55.
Yes, yes. Certainly, okay. No, just for you to know specifically what we are going to do is very important. That's very important. Yes. First, we will facilitate the cultivation of 3,000 hectares of rice, 150 hectares of vegetable, 1,500 hectares for groundnut, beans, millet, and cassava. 150 hectares. We will provide inputs to targeted smallholder farmers and communities. That's to enhance the poultry production in 15 schools and 10 communities. We will construct 100 common user bulking facilities. You call them magazine, or, you call them storage, but at least improve grain and seed storage facilities all over the country. And we will construct 27 other perishable storage facilities in the gardens that first they did. We want to ensure that there are cold storage facilities, next to the gardens. This will enable the ladies to harvest and store there. And the aggregator who is buying for and supplying to the schools, will just go and buy at bulk because it is already there, it's fresh, rather than going to the Lumo and having a lot of post-harvest loss. Okay, provide 200 schools, that's 131,000 children with nutritious meal for these 5 years. Support the construction of 200 school kitchens and 200 toilets for 200 school toilets. Of course, with 200 climate smart resilient borehole systems to improve water access to water in the schools. We will also do strengthen these modest clubs because most of the income generated activities in the schools, in many of the schools now, are driven by these modest clubs. Wherever you have a school poultry, we want to ensure that it is handed over to the modest club, and so that the school management stay out of completely those income generated activities. We will support the promotion of to enable 90% of targeted households to consume iodized salt. We will introduce some biofortified micronutrient foods during the process. Basically, that's it. Our achievement so far is the recruitment of the project team and establishment of the project office. Preliminary assessment of former first dev intervention sites to ascertain the current status, because we are not constructing new gardens or new things. You make mention of some of the difficulties, when first day was ending. So we need to go back and see how we enhance and improve production in these facilities so that they can be the basis for the school feeding program, together with, of course, expanding in other places. Last but not least is, of course, formulation of the project annual work plan, which is to be presented. One challenge we had is for the meantime is the delay in disbursement of first disbursement for the project, because from December to June is 6 months. This will not have been even 6 weeks from signing to disbursement. But I think we've resolved that with the ADB now. That would be a thing of the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, not one. Three. Yes. We have the roots project, P2RS, and ISDB.
We have three more.
Committee meeting. Focus. Now understand. This one is committee. This is very
committee meeting take present over the focus meeting. Sorry. I think I think the committee meeting should take precedence over the caucus.
I expect so.
So this one is our statutory duty. So if we don't complete, then I think we have to work the finish. Yes. Yes, I think anyway you can allow you can call on any of your.
Yeah, roots you want to.
Yes, they did not take brief. I think there are others who just came and they did not take votes.
Yes, it's roots and the people are here.
Clark, we have to continue. You are not going to. I disagree. Go.
But then they've already submitted what they have. Yeah, so our flag is oversight. Rules can still submit what you have.
I think there's a ruling already.
Yeah.
We should proceed, sir.
No motion was passed before the ruling.
No, we have already passed a ruling.
Exactly.
So like something came. It was said by the clerk. I think